Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How are you all? I feel like I'm not seeing you all for ages, actually. I hope you're all well. But welcome to this newly, I don't know, revamped and renamed show. So you'll notice from the intro there, it's now gone from midweek mediumship to the spirituality time show with David. Did you get it? Spirituality? Did you get it? So slightly reformatted. Um, this show is really about, I guess, education and also sharing my knowledge, because those people that follow me also know that I like to teach and share my knowledge about the spirit world and mediumship as well. So it's also about helping you guys if you're on your own spiritual journeys, you're going through your own spiritual development journeys yourself. This show is about you. So grab your cup of tea, like I've got my cup of tea here, or a coffee, settle in and get your questions ready for me. And there may be readings intertwined within it as well. So again, people know that I'm quite random when I work with spirit. People know that about me. So this show might be a bit random as well, but hopefully it'll just be a relaxed atmosphere. Again, asking your questions, and you know with me that you're going to get a down-to-earth, honest answer. All right. And I always say to people, look, with spirituality and mediumship, it's very much a personal journey. So we're all gonna have different experiences, and there. Okay, we're live on TikTok. And we're live. Okay. So I was just here, Rich, in the background. We're also live on TikTok as well. So we should have TikTokers watching, people on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So wherever you're watching from, do start saying hello. So this show is hopefully it's going to be educational, speaking from my own personal experience as well, because I can only talk from my own personal experience here, from what I've learnt, studied and experienced in general. So that's the new kind of concept of the show. So if you're watching, hopefully you are, do start commenting, do start saying hello. Let us know where you're watching, where in the world you're watching from. Whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok now as well. So do get your comments coming in, and I will start saying hello to people. As always, as we always ask, if you could please share SPTV out there, like the page as well. You don't need to send stars on Facebook. Don't need to do that because we are a free platform. So we just need your positivity, your interaction, your good energy. So yeah, do start getting your comments coming in. And the first one is from Linda Wilson, who is watching on Facebook. Linda actually sent me a question earlier, so I'm going to answer that in a minute. Miriam from Australia. Hello to you, Miriam, watching on YouTube. Jeanette Turner is from Bournemouth. Well, hello, Jeanette. Ali Gutierrez from San Antonio, Texas. Fabulous. Well, welcome, Ali, watching on Facebook. Hello, Laura Woods, fellow medium there. Hope you're well, Laura. Thanks for watching on Facebook there. Who else have we got? Hev Whittle. Hello, I've not seen you for ages, Hev. Hope you're well, my darling, watching there on Facebook. Hope you're doing all right. Who else have we got? Susie Selby. Hello, good evening from Skegness. Thanks for joining, Susie. Watching there on Facebook. Thank you, thank you. Who else have we got there? Anna Maria from Romania. Well, we're international this evening, people. Watching there on YouTube. Thanks for joining, Anna Maria. Sylvie Binet, hello to you, watching on Facebook as well. Sam B, another one from Australia. Welcome, Sam B, watching on YouTube there. Who else we got? Get your comments coming in. Oh, and also, this evening as well, if you do want to come into the Zoom room to ask me a question, then you can. All right. You don't have to. I know some people are a bit uncomfortable with coming onto camera, which I totally get, but here I am. But yeah, if you do just want to ask your questions in the comment box, you're absolutely fine. But if you do want to ask a question live and in person, then you can do. Let's also say hello to some TikTok viewers as well. We've got Olivia, Girl Hikes. We have Laura as well. So hello to you guys watching from TikTok there. Nice to have you. Very much so. Julie Rampton. Hello to you, Julie, watching on Facebook there. All right, people. So let's get on with the evening, shall we? And I'll say hello to people intermittently during the show as well. So, oh, Gemma, just say hello to Gemma there as well. Hello, Gemma, watching on Facebook. So again, this show is your opportunity to ask me questions, and I've got two questions to start us off, which is always I'm going to answer again from my own perspective, my own experience here. So Linda Wilson, I will start with Linda because Linda did say hello earlier. I saw her comment come up there. So hello, Linda. Hope you're well, and thank you very much for your question. Now, Linda has asked, how do you close down after you have worked doing mediumship? So this might be a good question for those of you who are still developing as mediums, or you're on that early path to your mediumship. Now, for me, it has changed over the years. So when I first started, we were taught, as I was trained, we were taught to open up our chakras and then to work. And then when we finish working, to close all the chakras down again. But actually, I've learned over the years that you don't need to do that. If it works for you in practice, then absolutely do it. But you actually don't need to do it. So to close down, what way I close down now after working with spirit or doing mediumship is to just not pay attention to it. Basically, there's no kind of ritual or anything like that I do. If anything, once I've finished working with spirit, I just thank them. All right. So, and we should all do that anyway. So when I finish doing a demonstration or a reading, I always thank the spirit people that have come in to make that connection, and I send them back up to spirit again just by saying to them, please go back to spirit. And I actually do say to them out loud, actually, right, I'm closed now for business, and that's it. And I almost kind of imagine I've got like a trap door in my head. So when I start mediumship, I imagine I've got a trap door that's flipped open, and when I've finished working, I see that trap door in my head shut down. So symbolically, that's just a sign to spirit that I'm not open for business anymore, and I've closed down. And then it is just a matter of just not paying attention to anything coming in. So that's it, really. Again, there's no big reveal or anything. It's just that it can just be simple as that. You thank them, tell them, right, I'm shut for business, and you just put your awareness back to the physical world. Because when we start working with spirit, we are shifting our mind to the spirit world, and that's when the communication starts happening. But when we shift our mind back to ourselves, back to our earthly life, for me anyway, that kind of breaks that connection. I'm like, okay, I'm done for today or for whatever, and that's it. I'm closed. So Linda Wilson, I hope this answered your question, and thank you very much for that, and I hope it's helped anyone else that's watching who's on their own spiritual journey as well. Rebecca Whelan, thank you very much for watching on Facebook there. Interesting indeed. And I could talk about mediumship and spirituality all day, hence why the show's changed. Because I do feel it's just important that we do talk about it and educate, because there are different perceptions out there about actually how it works. What is the process of this? What's the process of that? And for me, and there's so many, I don't know, far-fetched and airy-fairy stories out there about how it works that I like to put my spin on it, which brings it down to a bit more of an earthly level, if that makes sense. So yeah, thank you for that comment, Rebecca. Anyone else, if you have questions coming in, please do get your questions in. But I've also got another question here from Gary Morgan Herwing. So I don't know if he is watching or not, but either way, I'm going to answer the question anyway, because this is another one which a lot of people have questions about, and it's on the topic of spirit guides. So Gary has said that your skills are incredible. Well, thank you very much for saying that, Gary. Do spirit guides tend to be linked from previous generations within a family? It's like a distant relative. So I'm going to, again, answer from my own experience and perspective with this one. And some people may not agree, but that's fine. So I have to give my own experience, my own viewpoint on it. So from my experience and from my learning of it, your spirit guide is not going to be a member of your family because one, they have to have evolved to a certain level to be a spirit guide. And if it's your grandfather, for example, I mean, I can't say his spirit has not evolved to a certain level, but generally spirit guides go back a couple of generations, not in your family, but you know what I mean? There's a certain age on them. But not just that. I think when it comes to spirit guides, it needs to be someone who, well, you have objectivity, because I know people want their spirit guides to be a grandparent or a great grandparent or whoever, but it's not necessarily helpful because when because look, when your loved one passes away, you want to connect with them, right? Let me take my nan, for example. All right. Now all my grandparents have passed. And when you do have those loved ones that pass, you want to communicate with them. You want them to come forward. You might receive contact and you think, oh, is that my grandparent? Is that white feather from that person? So your mind is always trying to link in with them and trying to pull them in to an extent. And then if you receive information from them, like with me, my loved ones don't communicate with me the same way that I communicate with your loved ones because there is that lack of objectivity, and there's also that sense of, is that really them? Show me that, or is that my imagination, or is that my memory, I should say? Am I pulling that in? So with a spirit guide, they're there to guide you, they're there to show you the way, they're there to help you on your development journey. And you will know it's coming from them because you know it's not information that you already know, it's that intuitive information that you're picking up. Whereas if you're receiving it from one of your loved ones, like a grandparent, that you can't always tell, okay, is that, am I wanting them to say that because they are my grandparent, or is that really information coming from them? So for me, it's, there's no objectivity there, and you have to have that separation. It's a bit like, um, let's say if you're at school, let's say your mother was your teacher, that'd be a very difficult kind of relationship to have or experience to have, because it's one of the things that, is it your mum that's teaching you or is it your teacher that's teaching you? It's a bit like that. So you have to have that objectivity and someone separate, so something you know. So I don't believe that a relative will be a spirit guide, but it's not to say that they're not going to be on your team. I know very, very much, I've been told multiple times that both my maternal grandparents, obviously husband and wife, who are Irish Catholic, who didn't believe in any of this, have made it very clear to me that they want to be on my spirit team. So they can still help me out and they can still be there for me, but they're not the ones that are guiding me on this particular journey. In life in general, maybe, but not with this spiritual work, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers a few questions out there. Thank you very much, Gary, for bringing that question forward. But it's also also asked, and how can we purchase a signed copy of your book? Well, thank you very much for mentioning the book, Gary. At the moment, I have no books in stock, but you can still get them from Amazon, whether it's a paperback version or an ebook version, but obviously they will not be signed. I was doing signed books at the very beginning when I released it originally 3 years ago. I mean, if the demand is there for a signed copy of a book, I shall order a bulk batch of them in. But just to order one to sign it, it's actually more cost effective. It's not cost effective, it's more costly for both of us. So yeah, thank you for asking. And yeah, if you do want actually just a copy, go to Amazon. But if you want a signed copy, watch this space. So if there's enough, if there's enough demand for it, I shall order a bulk batch of them. Krish, hello, Krish, watching on Facebook there. Let me just grab some tea. Does mediumship drain you of energy, and what is the longest reading you have done? So for me, yes, mediumship does drain my energy. Not so I'm completely kaput, but it's energy draining because you've got to keep the energy up. Well, at least I have anyway, to keep that link with the spirit people. And what is the longest read? Well, it depends how you look at it. If I'm on a platform, an hour and a half. So if I do like a Sunday service or an evening of mediumship, it's normally an hour and a half. Actually, I've done demonstrations with Bill Hughes before, good old Bill, my fairy godfather, as I call him, and Kerry. We started at 1/4 past, so 2 hours, probably the longest that I've been on a platform. But as for like a personal one-to-one, it's happened maybe once or twice. It's not that actually, it's not necessarily a good thing, because it's exhausted me for the rest of the day. But I've been an hour and a half sat there with someone giving them a reading. I wouldn't recommend it, right? That's my lack of discipline in that situation. But it shouldn't be that. I shouldn't be like a one-to-one should not be an hour and a half, but it was. But there you go. But yeah, it's just the link that I had with Spirit at that time. I wasn't quite finished at 45 minutes, and I just had to keep going until Spirit said what to say. But then I should be more disciplined in that situation and say, right, we've had our time, enough, enough now, and give the message to the person. So yeah, so an hour and a half was the longest one. I won't be doing that again. But thank you very much, Krish, for your question, watching on Facebook there. So keep your questions coming in. Oh, what's this one? Carolyn Jane Brooke, watching on Facebook. I'm doing a psychic medium course. Are you in your in your 5th week? Okay. Just woke up from being held down, felt like a very dark. Was this an evil spirit? Now, my perspective, Carolyn, is what you could be looking at is sleep paralysis. And I've had that about 3 times. And I didn't know what it was at the time until I'd spoken to a couple of psychic medium friends of mine. And it wasn't an evil spirit. Now, I'm not so knowledged up or knowledgeable about sleep paralysis, apart from the fact I've experienced it. It can feel like an evil spirit because obviously if you're held down and you can't move or say anything, like when I experienced it, it was always very much I was trying to scream and shout but it wouldn't come out, but I was very much aware there was a little girl in the corner by the door of the bedroom, and I would wake up thinking, what on earth is that? It does feel scary, but it's scary because of the process and how it feels, but I don't feel it's an evil spirit trying to attack you, right? Because from my perspective, this is just my thinking on it is that evil can't come to you unless you invite it in, right? But because of the process of that and what it feels like being held down is going to be a very scary thing. Like if I woke up and saw even if I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and saw my dead grandmother stood at the end of my bed, I'd be out of it and down the stairs because I don't want to see my dead grandmother stood at the end of my bed because she shouldn't be there. So just my perspective, I don't feel it was an evil spirit. I can't say because I wasn't there, but that's just my perspective on it. And I was actually told about a week no, it's maybe a couple of weeks after those experiences happened, without telling the medium this, another medium told me that I've got a little girl working with me. But for whatever reason, whatever state my mind was in during my sleep state, that's just how it presented itself at the time. So no, I don't believe it was an evil spirit. That's just my opinion on that, my perspective on it. But thank you, Carolyn, for your question there. I hope that helps. Oh, I've got some TikTok questions. Oh, this is new. Fabulous. Right. Hello. Is it LJW Spiritual Life Coach? Am I saying that right? Hello to you. great. Is it Grace F150? How would someone start to open themselves up to mediumship at home? Okay, Grace. So, how I started, it was starting with this is going to sound really like cliche and a bit maybe wishy-washy, but I started with meditation. And you're going to hear every medium say that, every psychic say it to you, start with meditation. But it, from my experience, it really did help open me up to it, because with meditation, what I found is it started to shift my awareness and my consciousness. If I try and explain it in a way people are going to understand, it's almost like you wake up to things, not just to spirit or to mediumship, but you wake up to how people operate, to the world itself. So you start to oh, LJ, sorry, LJ is Laura who has a, oh, hello, Laura. Um, but yeah, meditation really kind of, it just broadened my mind, and I started seeing people as they really were. Not that wasn't intuitive to start with, but you start to see things in a different way. You start to see yourself in a different way. And I started to see myself in a more compassionate way and treat myself in a more compassionate way. Um, so meditation really helped me just to open up and just to I stopped worrying about the small things. Not that I still don't worry about certain things, but you start to realize there are other more important things out there, and your mindset just shifts. So I would say start with meditation, and going hand in hand with that, I would also suggest, I don't do this so much myself, so I did do it in the beginning though, but it helped me. And I would suggest looking at how grounding and protection can help you as well. Because when you start developing mediumship, it's very exciting, and it's um you feel really excited to connect to spirit. And a lot of the time your mind can be in the spirit world more than it is on earth, right? But we're human beings, we're earthly beings whilst we're here in this incarnation. So we have to try and keep our feet on the ground at the same time. We can't always have our head in the clouds, so to speak, connecting to spirit. So look at meditation. If you're not so great at it, that's because it's natural. It's natural not to be so good at it to start with, because meditation is a discipline. And the reason people find meditation difficult is because as humans, we are not conditioned to sit still and not think. We're conditioned to work, to move, to think, to pay the bills, to worry about this, to worry about that. So we're not, it's not a comfortable and natural space to sit in. But if you keep practicing it, it will get easier. Guided meditations can help as well. So there are lots of guided meditations on YouTube. I've got lots of guided meditations on my own YouTube channel and my podcast as well. So I would start with guided meditations if you're not so great at just sitting still and being quiet, and then look at grounding and protection as well when you first start doing the work. So Grace, thank you very much for that, and I hope it helps you. Suzanne Richards. Hello, Suzanne, watching on Facebook there. Do you ever remember spirit people? Like, do you ever say to them, oh, hello again? Do you know, I'm gonna have a lot of mediums say this to you, but it depends. If it's just like a one-off reading, once I've done the reading, I've done the reading, and I don't remember what I said. And I've had people come to me and say, so have you read for me 6 months ago? And I'm like, no, I have no idea who you are, and I don't remember what I said to you. Because with mediumship, they're not our thoughts. What we're giving to people are spirit thoughts, their feelings, their emotions. So it's not coming from us. We're just a filter for it, right? So I don't remember what I say to people. However, if I do read for someone, like for a second time or a third time, I can generally, and that same spirit person comes in, I can generally go, oh, okay, I've seen you before. Come on then. So in those cases, yes, but otherwise, no, I've done readings for people where, I've read for someone, let's say a third time in 2 years or whatever, and the same spirit person comes through the third time as did the first time, but I won't remember them because it's 2 years later. So yeah, not generally, but if it's a client that's been to me a couple of times, then I might do. But yeah, apart from that, not really. It kind of leaves my brain altogether. Thank you for the question, Suzanne Riches. Appreciate that. Who else we've got watching on TikTok there? We've got Lauren May. Let's say hello to Lauren May. Hello, Lauren. And Miss Hazy 76, thank you very much for sharing the live as well. And I've got Angelic Connections watching, so thank you all for watching. How fabulous. Thanks for being here. Ali Gutierrez, I love meditating in a dark room with my LED lights and some frequency or sound bar music. Yeah. And focus on my breathing and heartbeat. I remember feeling vibration all through my body, and I couldn't help but cry after feeling that. Absolutely. And with meditation, there are different ways of doing it. So when I meditate, I'm not always great at shutting my mind off. So I've got quite a busy mind. So like Ali there, I will put on some meditation music in the background, and I'll put some candles on. I've got some candles lit behind me, although it's still quite bright in here. But it just brings that kind of ambiance, I suppose. But yeah, once you start getting the hang of meditation, you will start feeling the benefit. And I mean, to be honest, I should do it more than I do, because I don't do it as much as I used to in the very beginning of my development, where I meditated every day for about 4 months. And that's not an exaggeration. I really did. Because I wanted to get the hang of it. I wanted to connect to spirit, and I wanted to know. So yes. So yeah, you don't need to do that. You don't need to meditate every day at all. Just what I felt I needed to do. But thank you there for saying that, Ali. I'm glad you had that positive experience with it. Katie Newkirk watching on YouTube. Is there any certain meditations you do, and for how long do you meditate? As I said, if I meditate, it depends what I'm doing, really. If I just feel like I need to zone out for a bit, I might just meditate for 10 minutes. If I'm meditating for the purpose of connecting to my guides and having a conversation or doing something inspired writing or something, it might be half an hour. But that's few and far between these days. So I've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't necessarily always have the time for it, though I should make time for it. But are there certain meditations that you do? Not particularly. Let me see. There's a couple of Tony Stockwell meditations that I do. If I feel I need that connection to spirit, or if I'm due to do a demonstration and my mind just not in it that day, I need to do something to get my mind in it. But generally, this not to sound like conceited, but if I want to do a guided one, I'll use one of my own ones as well. It's a bit weird to hear your voice back, but if my mind can't focus that day on meditating by myself, I need to listen to someone's voice just to get me through it. So yeah, you've got my own ones that are on my YouTube channel, or my YouTube has a lot of adverts, right? So I find I'll sit there trying to get into meditation, and then I get an advert halfway through. I think, okay, that's just throwing me off and taking me out of my meditation. So I do have some meditations on my podcast, which is called Coming Down to Earth with Spirits, if you want to have a look at that. But thank you for your question, Katie. Oh, and also, Katie, SPTV we have our own I'll start again. We have our own meditation show on Friday morning. So if you're available, pop on to SPTV Friday morning and join the meditation show. Let me go to TikTok quickly and have a look there as well. Hello. Oh, David, it's James. Oh, Chrissy, hello, James. I used to love meditating, love to listen to ASMR. Yeah, I did listen to ASMR for a little bit, but I got bored, so I stopped doing it. But yeah, no, I'm glad you like that. It does help. Stephanie answered, does meditation help lift the mood? It can. I mean, meditation is one of those things that we do. Meditation is for the self. So it is for us to take that time to whether it's to relax, whether it's to help lift the mood, whether it's to de-stress, whether it's to take in some healing, whether it's to help connect to spirit. So it can help for a number of things, and it just depends on you as well. So it depends where your mood is, what type of mood it is, but it can help because it's about just again taking that time out to not think about anything else or anyone else. It's taking time to go inward and just breathe, let things go, and just stay in that space for that, whether it's just for 2 minutes. I think there's a misconception is for some people that you have to meditate for half an hour for it to be effective. No, you don't. You can meditate just for 2 minutes, and that's how some people start meditating. They do it for 2 minutes, and then they work up in increments over the days or the weeks until they get to a place where they go, okay, this amount of time is okay for me, right? It's not a one size fits all. So just keep that in mind as well. So someone ever says to you, you must meditate for half an hour. No, you don't. Not at all. So thank you, Stephanie, and for the question. Laura loves silence from it. Yeah, you can do it in silence as well. I can't do it in silence because my mind just like drifts off to my shopping list or something. I've got something to do. And I start thinking about it. So yeah, silence works for a lot of people as well. And music for others. So it just depends what fits you, really. And you can also do it in the where's this come from? I don't know. Once you start mastering meditation, you can actually do it stood in the queue at the till in the checkouts in the supermarket. You ground yourself in. You don't need to like close your eyes to meditate because meditation comes in many forms for different people. Reading for some people is their form of meditation. Just sat listening to music is some people's form of meditation. So you could actually just stand up in the shopping queue, waiting to get to the till to meditate as well. So it's all sorts of ways you can do it. Um, right, let me see. Oh, Laura says she does it when she washes up. So yeah, there's different ways and places you can do it. I think that's what triggered me to say no, standing in the shopping aisle at the supermarket. Anyhow, um, Bernice Rodriguez started dreaming about my cousin again, but as a little girl. She hasn't been talking to me in my dreams lately. It doesn't mean, my darling, that she's not there or not with you, but I think we also have to be clear and also say that sometimes we do dream of our loved ones, but that's different from a visitation. Because we can have the weirdest of dreams, right? And that mean absolutely nothing. And we are sometimes going to dream of our loved ones rather than it being them coming in to say hello. So again, it's perfectly normal, right? Because we still have that link to them. Um, but even if she doesn't talk to you, I mean, with visitations, generally, obviously it's when you're asleep, there isn't a lot of talking anyway. Sometimes, a lot of the time, for me, especially anyway, that when I get a visitation from the spirit world in my sleep state, I'm just aware of them being there. They're not saying anything, they're not having a conversation, but they don't need to because the message is we're okay. Because if they're showing themselves to you, that must mean they're okay because they're making the effort to come and say hello. So I wouldn't worry, Bernice, that your cousin isn't there. She will be there, but also don't forget that spirit have their own stuff to do as well, right? We can't demand they come in. They will come in when they feel that they want us to that they want to. So don't take it personally, and please don't worry. If she's not been talking to you, it doesn't mean that she's not okay. It doesn't mean that she's not there. It's just that they're busy people as well. That's how I see it anyway. So thank you, Bernice. Hope that helps. Um, Yorkshire Mum, can I ask a question, please? Of course you can. That's what it's about. Get your questions in. And that's Yorkshire Mum on TikTok there. Take some more tea. Hello to Stephen McCoy on TikTok as well. Hello. Tina Christine Lacey, if you ask for a particular person to come forward, will they come forward? Now, this is not a controversial topic, that's the wrong word, but there are varying opinions on this. Now, a lot of mediums will say, but I do say it myself as well, just to set the expectation with people, is that when someone comes to see me for a reading, I do say to them, look, this is not 0800 dial a ghost, right? So I can't just pick up a phone and say, oi, you, we want to speak to you. You better come and connect, right? But from my experience, when people have said to me, I would like to hear from this person, or they've shown me a photograph of a certain person, I I generally 95% of the time, that spirit person will link in with me, and I will give the evidence to prove that as well during the reading. But it's never guaranteed, because again, it's up to the spirit world as to when they want to come through. But then there's something to be said for, if we believe that spirits are omnipresent, which means they're always there, then why can't we ask them to step forward, or that particular person to step forward? So there are different ways that people will think about it. Again, you'll hear a lot of mediums say, no, I can't just pull someone through. And I have said that in the past, but I do still say, look, I can ask them to, but I can't guarantee they're going to. But it depends where my mind is on that day, and what spirit's going to connect to my mind. So sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. And what we also have to remember is, though, that we are just the voice for spirit. So if I'm doing a one-to-one and someone says to me, no, I want to hear from my grandfather, for example, but the grandmother steps forward, I have to be respectful to that grandmother and give her my voice to say what she needs to say, because she's come to say something for a reason. So as much as someone might want to hear from that grandfather, if that grandfather's not stepping forward, I can't pull him. I can't force him to. But the grandmother's come in instead, because for whatever reason, she feels it's more important to come forward and make that connection for you, if that makes sense what I'm saying. So I hope, Tina, that answers your question. Oh, just to answer that, my brother passed 8 weeks ago. Is it too soon for him to come forward? No, not in my experience, as I have connected with spirit who had not yet passed physically. That's a whole other story. If you want to hear that story, please let me know. But I can't put a time on spirit. We know that in the spirit world, there is no sense of time, as that's what they say anyway. But that's been proven to me in a couple of readings that I've done, where spirit have proven to me that there is no time. Now, I've heard other mediums say, it takes 6 months for them to come through, it takes this long. No, we can't. Time is a physical construct. In fact, we manipulate time, because we put the clocks back and forward. So time is a physical thing for us, but for spirit, there is no time there. So if they want to come through a week after they passed, they can. I've heard of mediums connect to spirit that passed the day before. Say I've connected to spirit that hadn't yet physically passed yet. So yeah, there's lots of variables to it, but yeah, there's no time. Oh, you're welcome, Tina. I hope it hope it helps. There he is, my fairy godfather, Bill Hughes, psychic medium, watching on Facebook. Hello, Bill. Hope you're well. Amanda Slade, how does someone know if they are ready to open up to clairvoyant mediumship? This is from Facebook. I can't tell you that, Amanda, because only you will know. So even my students that I had, I've never told them, now it's time for you must go and start working, you must go and start doing this, doing that, because mediumship is very much a personal journey. You have to be ready. You have to feel, okay, now's my time. For me, for example, it took me until I was 34 to go, right, now it's time to do it. And it was just something in my head that just went, now's the time. Someone in my head said, probably a guide or something, said to me, right, now it's time to start doing it. After years of being interested in it, going to psychic fairs and watching different mediums on TV and going to see them in theaters and things. So after all that and doing nothing with it, I say at 34, it was like, now's the time. Because I was in a better space. I was more settled in my own personal life. I was only settled. I was more settled in my head. I wasn't traveling so much with my job, which I was doing that before. But only you can feel that when you feel that parts of yourself have been healed. And look, we do say, well, you hear a lot of mediums say that the biggest part of the mediumship journey is that personal journey you go through, that personal development, which is dealing with certain things in your life, dealing with certain demons, so to speak, like metaphorically, and dealing with certain issues that you have. Because you know, to do this work in particular, just my perspective on it is, I'm not saying you have to be completely healed, because who is completely healed, right? On a daily basis, we all go through stuff that affect us in some kind of way. And so, but so you just have to be in a space where you go, right, actually, I feel all right. There's a few things there I've got to deal with at some point, but I'm all right to be able to help other people. So just thinking about that as well. It's think in your head, it's saying to yourself, okay, so if I do this work, I have to, what my job is to help other people heal. It's my job to help bring other people peace, clarity, maybe. And if there's a part of you which feels like, I can't really do that, then maybe that's not the time to open up to it. So you really have to think about, what the why you want to do it, and think about how best that you're going to be able to do it as well. And if you can't come to those conclusions just yet, maybe that at this point is not the right time. Maybe it is. So so yeah, I hope that answers your question, Amanda. Let me see. Miss Hazy, are you doing messages tonight? This show, man, is Miss Hazy. It's about it is just having a chat, answering questions. And if I feel so drawn to do messages, then I shall. But I'm not putting pressure on spirit people or you guys or myself to do it unless there's a pull to do it, if that makes sense. Eva has said, how can you tell if what the spirit says is true? For example, if the spirit says go to this river and you'll find all the powers, then the psychic says no, don't. There's no, let me see. Let me see if I can read that again. How can you tell if what the spirit says is true? For example, if the spirit says go to this river and you'll find all the powers, then the psychic says no, don't. There's no such thing. Okay, I'm gonna try and answer it if I understand it correctly. So number one, if anyone says to you, you'll find all the powers, then I wouldn't believe it anyway, because this is from my perspective again, there is no we don't have any special powers. Now, we might have psychic abilities and psychic skills or mediumship skills, but I've always said I'm not special. I don't have any special powers. So if that's what you're being told about being powerful or going to see the powers, I would avoid that anyway. But it's over time. I've only learned, no, spirit. What I would say, if I go rewind a little bit, spirits, if they're true spirits and you're truly connecting to spirits, then spirit are never going to lie to you, right? Spirit are not going to give us any lies. They're just not going to do that, because if we understand the intelligence of spirit, we know that's not how they operate. But our mind will tell us something else. Our logical brain, once our logical brain kicks in, that will overshadow or it will twist what we're perceiving in our minds. So it's our logical mind that will take over and can sometimes tell us lies, if you want to call it that. But there is no river. There is no place you can go to discover powers. There is no such thing, because mediumship is done through the mind. It's mind to mind communication. So that's how I always discern it. I know, one, spirit's not going to tell us any lies anyway, but yeah, there is all this thing about, you hear out there, you know, I can give you £200 and I can give you your powers or find you your powers. There is none of that, in my opinion, right? That's what I'll say. So yeah, there is no river. Sometimes our minds can take over. It can take over, and it can sometimes convince us to do something and not to do something. Like, should I buy this car? Should I not buy that car? Should I choose that? So we just have to be aware of our own mind as well. And that's what I would say as well, is being aware of your own mind. Look at the current situation that you're in, that you're going through, because sometimes external factors can affect how we're feeling in the mind as well. So I hope it kind of makes sense what I've said, if I've interpreted your question correctly. But thank you for that, Eva. Thank you very much. Let's have a look on TikTok. Catherine Payne, I'll come to you in a second. Lauren May, I've had a lot of activity in the house recently. Not sure why it happens at night. I couldn't really be sure of that either, because I'm not in your house to see what happens. But I think sometimes in the night time, it's more noticeable because it's quieter, right? So it might be that it's not necessarily happening more at night. It could just simply be, during the day, we're busy, right? We've got things going on. There's noise about. I've got cars behind me here. You might hear them in the background going up and down. Got the window open. But at night time, you might feel it happens more because it is quieter. That could just be one reason to put on that. But say I'm not in your house, so I couldn't tell you what the activity is and why it happens at night. But that's just my general answer to it. Catherine Payne, do you do protection prayer before you connect with spirits? I don't. At the very beginnings of my development, I used to, because that's what I was told, right? When I sat in a spiritual circle in a spiritualist church. But over the years, I've learned that actually it's, for me anyway, and other what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think. I've lost my words. But the other long-serving mediums, let's call it that, don't do a protection prayer before we connect to spirit either. And that's because I think when you first start learning, and it goes back to the old school ways anyway, when you do start learning, sometimes there's almost this fear of, if you don't protect yourself before connecting to spirit, you can connect to evil spirits, and you can negative spirits come in, and you don't know what spirit's going to come in if you don't protect yourself. But then on the other hand, the same people believe that, no, spirit is good, spirit is love. Then if it is love and it's good, then why are you protecting yourself from it? So I don't protect myself for connecting to spirit, because that I don't operate in any other way but with the highest good of all concerned. So if you're doing something like a seance or a Ouija board, if you dare touch a Ouija board, then yes, I would say, do a little protection there. But if you're connecting to someone's loved one that's sat in front of you, that, from my perspective, a protection prayer is not needed, because they're not going to hurt you. Just like your own loved ones, they're not going to come and harm you. So why we need to protect ourselves essentially from their love, from that connection. So no, I don't do a protection prayer. I do say hello to them. I say, right, I'm getting ready to work. Thank you for work. I always thank them for working with me. I invite them to come in. But again, it's with the intention that I set. The intention is always, we're doing this for healing, to help people. My vibration is raised. So that's just how I operate anyway. So no, I don't do a protection prayer before I connect with spirit. But thank you, Catherine Payne, for the question there on Facebook. Right, let's grab some more tea. Your mother was medium. She said she always did a protection prayer, but I'm guessing it's how. Yeah, again, that's how I was taught at the very beginnings. It was always taught that you must do your grounding and protection before you connect to spirit. You must protect yourself, but it's almost like a fear-based thing. But actually, if we understand spirit, it's not a scary thing, right? So that yes, that's how I was learned. But over the years and my experience with it and my understanding of the spirit world, it's not needed, in my opinion, unless you're doing something a bit, I don't know, a bit naughty, a bit sinister, like a Ouija board, shall we say. um, Jan Jeffrey on Facebook as well. Have you ever been asked to help find a missing person? I have. Not in any official, like, police authority way. But a few years ago, I was working with a group of girls who are very good psychics, mediums as well. And they had their own little investigation team, and I was invited in as well. And we had a couple of cases that were given to us by the family, or a family member had asked us to look at a certain case, and then we picked up other cases from that. And I've done a couple of by myself as well. So I have been asked to do them. But I'd like to do more of them and be better at them, is one of my aims as well. So I work predominantly as a medium rather than a psychic. That's one of my kind of my development plans is to do more of that, and to be a bit better at them is that's what I'd say to that. But thank you, Jeffrey, for that question there. May watching on Facebook as well. How do spirit use their energy to move things? This happened recently to me after medium told me to watch out for it. Do you know, I don't know the exact answer to it, but it's happened to me as well. And I actually talked about this the other day to someone. I can't remember who I was talking to. But I was actually sort of for an online course I was designing. But it can be very hard for spirit to move things because they'll be building up their energy to shift something. How they do it, I don't know. It doesn't happen so much these days. It happened a lot more back in the 1800s and early 1900s because the world was a different place then. But yeah, I couldn't give that almost like the science behind it. Oh, Tim had it saying telekinesis. There you go. This answered your question. But yeah, it does happen. I've had quite a big, heavy book taken off my shelf and thrown on the floor, and I was there when it happened. And so it does happen. But yeah, as Tim's there said telekinesis. So yeah, as I said, I couldn't go into science about it because I don't know. But all I know is it does happen. But yeah, I don't think it's an easy thing for them to do either. Katie Newkirk watching on YouTube. What is the difference between grounding and earthing? Is there a difference, Katie? Has anyone heard a difference between grounding and earthing? I would say, from my own perspective, I'd call it the same thing, because with grounding, anyway, from my perspective, you are earthing yourself. You're making sure that you are connected to the earth in whatever way you want to do it. It's just to keep yourself present, because sometimes, right, we can be a bit head in the clouds, we can daydream quite a lot, we can just feel a bit disconnected. So you need to earth yourself. I would put those two together. I wouldn't necessarily see a difference between the two. That's just my opinion anyway. Without getting too technical about it. Let's see. Lauren May on TikTok. What do you think happens to bad spirits after they pass? Good question. And again, this is my perspective on it from what I have learnt. Now, I read when I first started developing, I don't know if anyone else has read it. It's The Spirits Book by Alan Kardec. Now, bear in mind, this was written in the 1800s, right? I think 1858. I think this his set of 5 books were written, and so it might seem a bit outdated. But my belief is that bad spirits go to the same place as all the other spirits do, right? Now, from what I've learned, the spirit world is not just one level, shall we say. The spirit world is a place where all our loved ones go, even those evil people and those bad people, because that's our natural journey, right? We go to the spirit world, no, for lack of a better phrase, whatever else you want to call it, right? But it's not just one space; it's multiple levels from what I understand, right? So the evil bad spirits, they will go, let's say, to the lower levels of the spirit world, which is not the same level where your loved ones in spirit would go, right? So, your relatives will not be sat drinking tea with Hitler or anything like that, right? Just for lack of a better example, because they will be separated because of the different types of souls that they are. And I believe very much that your when you pass, or when your loved ones have passed, they will go to the level in spirit which their soul resonates with, right? So if your loved one was not an evil, bad person, then they're not going to go to the lower levels of the spirit world. That's just my personal belief of it. And for some people, that can be hard to get the head around, because for some people, they need to rationalize in their heads the difference between a good person and a bad person. Like in certain religions, like I grew up Catholic, right? So I was always taught that if you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell, right? Now, I personally don't believe in hell as a concept, but you could say that the lower levels of the spirit world, which we talk about, are what we'd refer to as being hell in other religions, right? That's just an example there. But yeah, ultimately, look, we're all spirit, right? So we're all going to go to the spirit world, no matter how we lived our life um, here on this earthly planet, right? So thanks for the question there, Lauren. Thank you very much. Corey Dutton watching there on Facebook. How do you protect yourself against people's negativity, David? I tell them to, no, I can't really use the expression that I want to use on this on this platform. Richard might just press the end button. um, do you know what, Corey? It's this that sounding like, ugh, like I get the sick bucket out. Um, I don't bother with negative people. I've got to say, I no, you get to a certain get to a certain age where you're like, I I have not got the time or the inclination or the patience to deal with people's drama, negativity, what foolishness or whatever, right? So to be perfectly honest, the way I live my life is that, look, there's always going to be negative people around, right? I'm not saying that no, no one negative has ever, been in contact with me. Of course they have. Um, but I'm just very conscious of who I associate with, who I get involved with. And what I mean by that is who I can't, what circles I want to be part of, right? So I'm very aware of that, and I think through intuition, and this is not like specific to me, anyone can do it. Is that we all have that pull, we all have that knowing of, okay, this situation is not that good for me, but that one over there is. So instead of going to this negative situation, I'm going to go over there to this more positive one. So and I very much use my intuition for that. But again, just how I live my life is that I don't do drama. I just don't do it. Sometimes, yes, you can't avoid it, right? So it's not trying to be all airy fairy and nice and nicey about it, but because it does happen. But yeah, I just don't tolerate it. I just don't get myself involved in it, really. People keep the dramas themselves. I can't be bothered. Life is too short um to get involved in that. I think sometimes you just have to pick your battles, and you pick, what do I want to be involved with? And so no, I don't. I don't. If there's even friends of mine in the past that I've stepped away from because their their negative attitude, the negative energy that they have does me no good, does people I love no good. So okay, bye. It sounds a bit cold, I know, but it's not. It's not been that dramatic, to be honest, for me. But there have been people I've gone like, you know what, I don't need that, so I step away. And it's just, yeah, that's just how I live. But thank you, Corey, for your question. Um, right, we'll do one more, and then I've got something to finish up on, actually. So Angel, are there any rules on when you can reincarnate back on Earth? Well, this is a whole another subject, Angel. Um, oh, and I'll come to Atomic Soul afterwards. Now, reincarnation, I'm not going to get into too much because there are varying opinions on it. Of course, my opinion has changed over the years as well. Do I believe reincarnation exists? I do. But what the rules are to do with it, I still haven't made my mind up about it, to be honest. So I can't talk too intelligently about it to give you a very clear answer. Um, it's said that when I first started developing with other books that I've read, maybe it's not always a good thing to do is to read a load of books because you can read 5 books on the same subject and get 5 different answers. So you have to come to your own conclusions on a lot of it, a lot of the time. I used to believe that from what I had read, that you have to keep reincarnating into this life until you've learned all the lessons that you need to learn. You go through trials, tribulations, go through things you didn't learn in the last life, they're brought forward into the next life. You've got to redo those things, learn those things again. And in my head, it's like, well, then surely then we're just recycling ourselves, or we're just going to reincarnate time and time again to reach a certain state of perfection. So that's what I first read. But then from watching other mediums work and watching their philosophy and watching what they believe, what resonates with me is we can reincarnate if we want to. We have the choice. As spirit people in general, they also have free will, right? Like us down there, they've got free will in the spirit world. And so if they go to a level in the spirit world which they're happy with and content with, right? Then I don't understand why they would have to reincarnate back into this life again if they're happy where they are. It's a bit different if you went to the lower levels of spirit, shall we say, and you were someone who was a very naughty, maybe evil person in this lifetime. When you go to spirit world, you go to the lower levels, then I would say in that case, if you want to learn those lessons again, you've got to learn them. And one way to learn those lessons and to face up to what you did, sometimes you might have to reincarnate back in to live your life again to see how you did it, how you do it the next time. But yeah, the different thoughts on it, and you have to go with what you resonate with. I know for me that hopefully when I pass, this is it. I don't want to come back here again. But that's my choice, right? And that's fine because I'm not a bad person. I've never done anything evil. I've never even punched anybody. That's what I'm. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not exaggerating there either. So my feeling is we have a choice and we don't have to come back if we don't want to. That's just my personal opinion on it. Anyhow, let's do one last question from Atomic Soul. Can I ask, how did David start his mediumship journey and how long you have been a medium? So I'll answer the last bit first. So I started my properly development in 2017. So this year I'm going into my 8th year of of this journey. So yeah, it is a journey. That's a good word. I'll come back to Tim in just a second, just to go over his comment there. And how did I start? Well, it kind of started with a fascination of mediumship. I didn't realize it was mediumship at the time. So I was about 14, and my mum, I grew up Irish Catholic. So I went to Roman Catholic school and all that business until about 11 when I went to high school, which was non-denominational. And at 14, my mum said to me, look, because my mum's not a strict Catholic at all. She went, look, you're old enough now to go and discover what you want to believe in. go and see what you resonate with. Believe what you want to believe. Invest. So, and I had that freedom to do that. And from that point, I found people like Colin Fry and Tony Stockwell and TJ Higgs and Derek Akora and all those older, more, I guess, TV mediums, I guess. When back in the day when we had living TV on cable, I'd watch all the mediums there. I used to go to psychic fairs with my friends, and all these psychics would say to me, "No, you've got an ability, you should work on it." And I'd be like, "Thanks, on to the next thing." Because I was young, I didn't know what a psychic read probably was, although I was fascinated with it. And just, yeah, just over those years, I went to see mediums in theatre shows and things like that. And it always fascinated me. It never scared me. It never freaked me out. I was just fascinated. And I resonated with that. And I didn't know it was spiritualism or spirituality. I didn't even know what it was then. And I resonated with that far more than I did going to the Catholic Church, right? Which actually bored me. And I really hated going, but we had to because of the Catholic family. And then I got to a point where I didn't do anything with it at all because my life took a different path. And then, yeah, it was in 2017 where something in my head just went, right, now's the time. And that was it, really. That's where it started. So I started self-developing for a short while, and then I joined became a member of a spiritualist church and sat in spiritual and open circle, then went up to closed circle and developed from there, really. But I still did my stuff outside of my own development, outside of that circle as well. So yeah, that's how it started. Thank you, Atomic Soul. That's a very kind of nutshell story of how it started, but I hope it answers your question. And Tim has said, I agree with your views on reincarnation, but something to think about. Our guides and inspirers from the spirit world have not reincarnated yet, are still evolving and developing spiritually, be it by being our guides. Yeah, there you go. I'd agree with that as well. Thank you, Tim. Right, people, I'm going to bring it to a close, but before I go, I wanted to ask you all a big favor. So if you could all send out some healing thoughts, intentions to my poor mum, who's been going through a bit of a time recently with health, without going into too much detail. But if you could all send some healing her way, that'd be very much appreciated. And then I thought what I would do, just to finish it off, a while ago, I created my own cards. But these are affirmation cards, right? They're not psychic cards. They're not like oracle cards or tarot cards. They are just affirmation cards, which have obviously affirmations on them. And they are divided into two sections. They are divided into gold, which is the more our messages for our physical part of us, and then rose gold, which are from spirit, so that for the spirit part of us. Oh, Atomic Soul, thank you. That would help, wouldn't it? My mum's name is Jackie. Call her Jackie D. That's her name. Thank you, Atomic Soul. And so I thought I would end. Thank you, Atomic Soul. Appreciate that. So I thought I would end this with an affirmation card for everybody, right? And this could be an affirmation card that you take on into the rest of this week, or it could be for next week, however you want to take it, right? But this is this is a card that I picked out earlier for everybody. And the card says, life can be a challenge, but that's what we learn from. So I will be the student. So it's just the message of it. Sometimes we might feel like things that we face can really throw us off our path, or they can really put us off from doing something. But it's just remembering that we don't learn from the easy life. We don't learn from easy things. We always learn from those things that are a bit more challenging. And, I have multiple times during being very honest, multiple times during my development and my journey with mediumship, I've always wanted to give up because someone has said something, or I've witnessed drama going on in certain spiritual groups, and I think I don't want to be part of this. Do you know what I mean? But also that self-doubt, because as mediums we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, because we want to do good, we want to give the evidence, give the evidence of life after life, if you want to call it that. But sometimes, I also need to hear that and go, do you know what? That was a real hard thing to go through. That's a really challenging reading or a challenging demonstration or just a challenging moment. Actually, I can learn from that rather than no, it's from a toys at the pram and go, you know what, I can't do this anymore, or I don't want to do it anymore. It's going, actually, you know what? That's taught me how to do it better next time, or to change something for the next time. So yeah, hopefully you can all take something from that. So again, it's life can be a challenge, but that's what we learn from. So I will be the student. So that's how I'm going to finish it. So thank you very much, everyone. Firstly, for those healing thoughts and prayers going out to my mum there. Thank you very much, everybody. I do appreciate that, and I know she'll appreciate that that as well. But also a big thank you to everyone who has interacted this evening, who has sent their questions in. And I hope that they've answered some of your questions, that you've enjoyed it. I've seen everybody interacting here and sharing it out. So I very much do appreciate that. But I shall be back again in 2 weeks' time at the same time of 6 p.m. Again, next time, again, as you did today, bring your questions, bring your maybe topics you want me to talk about as well. Because without that, we'll have no show. All right. So once again, thank you very much. Look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you all very soon. See you later.